Everyone, I'm here with the Hearth and Home tag that was started by Boho Tarot. I know I'm a little late to this particular tag. I think it was a September harvest type tag. However, we do have the Canadian Thanksgiving coming up here, so it's still very much harvesty over here. So I am going to be doing this. Thank you, Don Michelle, for starting this. It was a great idea and looks like a lot of fun. I've been enjoying watching other people's tags as well. So the first is Hearth and Home decks that make you feel like home. So I have here the Mythic Tarot. This is not the original copy I had. This beautiful box was made by my husband for me. So very, very cool. So another homey touch. But to me, this was one of the first decks that I had when I was learning tarot. And so for me, this particular deck really feels like home. It's a deck that I'm very familiar with, and it really helped me to learn the tarot through Greek mythology because I was familiar with Greek mythology. So it really helped me learn the meanings. And I got this in the 90s, not this particular copy, but I did have the copy with the black back in the 90s. And then I don't know if I lost it in a move or something happened, but I ended up getting this particular one off of eBay. Somebody was selling it. It is the blue back, I think from the 2000s, but either way, it's really wonderful. It has the original artwork on it. There is a Mythic Tarot, but it's that's out now, but the artwork I don't think is as good. So this one always makes me feel very much like coming home in a lot of ways. The second tag that we have, the second item here, is we have Come Together, and that is a deck that reminds you of your friends and family. And so here I have the Angel Wisdom Tarot. So the reason I picked this one is because this is a deck that is, while it's quite magical, it's also quite modern as I drop things. Anyway, it's very modern. I'll pick that up in a second. But it's very diverse as well. So it kind of reflects the world that we live in currently. It does have like some old-timey touches as well. Obviously this king here. We've got a mermaid. It's got magical touches in it, but you'll notice that the deck itself is fairly diverse. We've got people also in modern clothes, got family here, all sorts of different, ages. We've got different people of different ethnicities. I thought I'd just zoom in a little more. And it's so, to me, this seems like a deck that I feel like reminds me of the people I'm actually around. And it has that nice touch of both like the magical and the realistic, the past and the present. So to me, that's something that really reflects, I think, the world we live in, but also sort of my imagination as well. So I feel like this one is the Come Together one for me. The next one is Light Up the Darkness. And for that one, I picked the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. So this one to me, literally, it is a dark deck that I often use in November. But there's this dark background, and then you've got this orange border, and you've got these bright colors. To me, it literally lights up the darkness. So it is a deck that is a little darker. But to me, it really speaks of sort of that dark half of the year, particularly the part where we're like from October into December, where it's getting darker and darker. There are images of flames in this deck. It is one to me that literally lights up the dark, that has this kind of imagery of the dark half of the year. And some of it, is, we've got these swords and literal sort of like, dark imagery here and thorns and things. But it does have this touch of light to it as well that does, to me, symbolize lighting up the darkness. And then you've got these beautiful roses. Raven eating the moon. You've got flames here. To me, it very much speaks to that light in the time of the dark part of the year. The next one we have here is Rainy Day, a deck to curl up with on a rainy day. And so for that one, I've picked the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. This, to me, this deck is very much like a storybook. It makes me think of the storybooks that my grandmother, who, well, she's passed away now, but she's British, because my mom is British. And she used to send me these lovely storybooks from England that had these beautiful illustrations in it. So to me, this has this sort of like magical, homey kind of quality to it that really makes me want to, you know, kind of like on a rainy day, you want to curl up with sort of this magical, whimsical imagery. And there is some darkness in it too. So it makes me think of like these magical fairy tale storybooks that I used to look at as a child, and that connection kind of with that part of my ancestry and my family. So it does have this beautiful magical quality that I would just, you know, just makes me think of like cozy rainy days. The next item we have is Harvest Nights. So things that invoke kind of like harvest time of year and bonfire nights, that kind of energy. And for that one, so I struggle to close boxes. For that one, I picked the Green Witch Tarot because there is some really beautiful fall imagery in this particular deck. Let's see if we can bring out some of the fall energy there. This was a very spring, summer type energy, but it has like this connection with nature. This, you know, makes me very much think about like kind of the dark time of the year. Fine, there is some fall type imagery here. This to me very much speaks of fall and harvest time. We've got the apples here, we've got the tree. Like it reflects all the season, but it to me it really talks about harvest time because there is this sort of like pagan nature type energy to it, part of like the cycle of the year, the harvest season, all of that kind of stuff going on in here. So to me it really speaks to kind of that harvest energy and that connection with the earth. This to me talks sort of, this is sort of a lazy summer day energy, but this particular deck, it really has that sort of like idyllic, natural connection. It has a very like pagan, Wiccan kind of vibe, which makes me think of the Wheel of the Year and the harvest festivals. And here we have somebody literally pruning some, cutting some herbs or flowers here. Got feasting. So yeah, you've got this kind of like cycle of nature type of energy to it. The next one is Hand Spun with Love. Now, I don't own a lot of decks that look hand-drawn or hand-spun, but I would say this one might count as that. The Spirit Keeper's Tarot, this is the first edition. So the author of this, Benabel Wen, she literally started making this for herself, just drawing these images onto cardstock just for herself. And then when people saw it, they were like, oh, you should really market that. So this is all like her hand drawings that she's done. And she really just made this as a deck for herself. And then people said they liked it and that they wanted to work with it. And so I think that this is definitely something that is hand spun with love. I'm not saying that other artists don't do the same thing, but I think this was really approached to as a labor of, you know, just love for her, you know, for herself, to do something for herself that meant something to her. And then other people resonated with it. It also makes me think of just like, you know, somebody drawing in a sketchbook and sort of, especially like the black and whiteness of it. It's just really like someone just took like ink to paper and made themselves these beautiful cards. So very happy to own a copy of this one. The next prompt that we have is Thankful, Grateful, Blessed. A deck that makes you feel grateful for what you have. This is not a tarot deck, but the Keepers of the Light Oracle, to me, is one that definitely has that warm hug energy. I don't so much associate this one with fall. I'm more associated with summer and spring just because of the jewel tones in it. But it is one that does make me feel like I have connection to, you know, beings and guides and helpers on the other side. And so it does make me feel very grateful and blessed. And it includes, you know, it has like angels, it has like ascended masters, it has deities from all different parts of the world, and just reminding us that we're always, you know, connected kind of to the cosmic realm, and that there's always helpers on the other side wanting to help us. And, you know, at this time of year, we start to think about those kind of things, especially when it comes to doing you know, ancestor work and stuff. And these are sort of our collectively, culturally, some of the ancestor energy that we can work with, especially when it comes to things like ascended masters. So it's a beautiful deck, and it's a diverse deck too, so that's good. And it's one that is kind of that warm hug. And I don't do readings just with this, but it's often one that I use in addition to, or pull a card. Like as I do a tarot reading, I might pull a card from this deck. It's sort of that warm hug that kind of wraps up the reading. And then we have Comfy and Cozy, the deck that you can always come back to. And for that one, I'm going to have to go over here and grab the Shadowscapes Tarot. So the Shadowscapes Tarot is one of my favorite decks. I think I got this one in like, I don't know, like 2014, I want to say, 2015, somewhere in the mid 2010s. But I really love this. This really renewed my spark for doing card readings. It is a beautiful mythical deck, very fae-like, and it's one that I always return to. It's one I feature in a lot of the photos that you see like on my Etsy shop and stuff, and there's a reason for it, because I think it just has this wonderful, warm, welcoming energy, and at the same time it's very ethereal, very magical, very fae-like. But it's one I return to over and over again. Fox is one of my favorite animals. It's got unicorns in here. This particular deck really, really speaks to me, and it's one I just come back to over and over and over again, and just feel it is a deck that I feel very at home in, that's for sure. So that's just a quick look at some of the decks that I enjoy. Thank you again to Dawn Michelle for doing this particular tag. It was a lot of fun, and it got me thinking about, you know, the different energies that I associate with, you know, different decks that I have, and thinking about some of my decks in new ways. So I really appreciate that. I love seeing all these tags. So if you've done that, one of these, let me know. And again, thank you so much for watching this, and thank you to my patrons who help make this possible, allow me to, you know, do these kind of things. I really appreciate it. And as always, peace and love and rock and roll, my friends.